Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and today we're going to be unboxing and taking a close look at Oppo's latest foldable flagship, the Find N2. Now before we proceed, a quick request: if you're on Telegram, use the link in the description to join the C4E Tech channel so that you can keep track of all my new uploads. So this here is the Find N2's box. We still get the Hasselblad branding up top. The box itself, it's quite unique, quite different compared to what we usually see with Oppo's flagships. Understandable, given that this is their premium foldable after all. As we open it up, I like what Oppo's done here. The phone kind of gets presented to you. It gets slightly elevated. I'm sure you can see what I mean. Let's go on and remove the protective plastic. And damn, this phone looks gorgeous. We have a matte finish to the back. Oppo calls this one the pine green and it looks great. Feels awesome in hand. We'll talk more about the build in just a moment. Returning back to the box, we then have a 67-watt SuperVOOC charger and a USB Type-A to Type-C cable with white accents. Oppo claims you can charge the 4520 mAh battery on the inside from 0 to 100 in 40-ish minutes. Very respectable. Then we have this black insert that houses the snap-on case. There's also a SIM ejector tool, some regular leaflets. Oppo's even thrown in a microfiber cloth. Now, due to the nature of flexible displays, they do tend to pick up more fingerprints and smudges, which is why I think they've included it. That's just where foldable technology is at right now, and hey, at least they aren't charging $19 for it, so I'll take the freebie without any complaints. You know what does not pick up fingerprints and smudges? Easily at least, this back. This is Gorilla Glass Victus. The matte finish here, it helps it remain clean. Like I said, this is the pine green. They also offer the Find N2 in cloud white and plain black. The black SKU, by the way, it has an eco leather finish instead that should give you better grip. Now the typical Oppo camera design that we've been seeing for a while since the Find X5, if I can recall correctly, that's also at play. The Find N2, it looks more refined, it's slimmer and lighter than its predecessor. Weight-wise, this is the lightest foldable today. Now a few months back when I was covering the Mi Fold 2, I said, hey, this phone weighs just about as much as an iPhone Pro Max with a case on. Well, Oppo's kind of, improved upon that because the N2, it weighs lesser than an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Period. It's just such a pleasure to hold and use in hand. Oppo's made a few noticeable changes here. For example, the volume key, it's been moved to the same side as the power button. I think this makes accessing it when using the phone unfolded a little easier. The power button placement's also quite good. It's easy to hit, and that built-in fingerprint scanner, that was pretty fast and snappy too. We have a secondary noise cancelling mic up top, the hinge is on the other side, and to the bottom there's the primary microphone, stereo speakers with Dolby support, a USB Type-C port, and the dual SIM tray. The display to the front, it's slightly changed. We now get a Gorilla Glass Victus covered 5.54-inch 17.7 by 9 display instead of the 5.49-inch 18 by 9 panel on the original. This is not something you're gonna actually notice. In fact, most spec sheets are gonna round this aspect ratio off and still call it 18 by 9. What is gonna be noticeable though is the fact that the outer panel also gets 120Hz LTPO technology. So it's just as smooth as the panel on the inside. The resolution's been increased a little and so has the peak brightness. Talking about peak brightness, the display on the inside, it now maxes out at 1550 nits. That's a market improvement compared to, I think, 1000 the last time around. The crease is also a lot less noticeable. The size and resolution though remain unchanged, 7.1 inches, 1792 by 1920. That said, it's an E6 AMOLED and Oppo's even added stylus support with an Oppo Pen, though it is not included in the box. Now Oppo's Find N series continues to remain the only foldable that doesn't need to be rotated to get that wider aspect ratio. For regular 16 by 9 content though, you're not gonna get a whole lot extra screen real estate, just about 16% more, 5.96 inches instead of 5.13 that you get on the cover screen. But for things like reading an ebook, browsing the web, or getting something productive done, this screen, it's excellent. Now talking about productivity, Oppo's included a few extras with their ColorOS 13 to improve the user experience. For starters, a two-finger swipe from the top when you are in an app will trigger split screen. You can say be checking something out on YouTube on one side while browsing the web on the other. Given the size of this panel, it almost feels like you get two phone displays in one. Now you can tap right here and choose to either swap the apps or move them to a horizontal orientation if they do support it, or save the spare to the home screen. So if there's a combination you frequently use together, you can set them as a pair and have them both launch at once. Pretty convenient. The screenshot function is also quite intuitive. A three-finger swipe gets you a screenshot. But if you want a screenshot of only one of the apps that you have on screen, you can do that with the same 3-finger swipe, just on that app instead. So screenshot to the left, screenshot to the right, and here's a screenshot of the entire screen. For more multitasking, you get flexible windows. Say I'm in the calculator app and I just want it as a floating mini app. I can do the regular resense gesture, just drag it a little further, and boom, a floating flexible window. I can now resize it, hide it away to the side if I don't need to use it at the moment, drag it to the corner to split the screen, or even go full screen with just a double tap. These flexible windows can also be launched right from the recents list or from the smart sidebar that you can trigger with an invert swipe. Next, we have the FlexForm mode. The way the hinge is on the Find N2 means the phone can be used in a laptop mode of sorts. The hinge, after a point, it stays rigid and can hold part of the display upright. This is where FlexForm kicks in. So you can swipe on the bottom part of the screen and double tap to launch an app. Now, with an app like say YouTube, it doesn't do much, just pushes the video to the top. But with say the camera app, this immediately gives you an option to rest your phone in one spot and shoot at different angles. Now talking about shooting, with the camera app there are a couple of other things that you can do with that foldable form factor. If you tap this icon here, the screen gets split with you being able to see what you just shot on half of the screen. Basically your camera roll is to one side and you can scroll through the images that you've already taken while still framing the perfect shot. Now if you hit this icon right next to it, you get a preview of the viewfinder right on the cover display. This lets you show the subject what is it that you're actually shooting. Now let's say you aren't shooting a subject, you just want to take a selfie of yourself using the rear cameras, then tap this right here on the cover display and it brings the controls on over to this display. Neat, right? Now while this is a foldable and optics aren't the real selling point here, Oppo has still managed to include some great hardware underneath. We get a triple camera setup. The primary is the 50 megapixel Sony IMX890. This one's paired with an optically stabilized f1.8 lens. It does a good job with stills. My initial impressions, images seem sharp and well detailed. The dynamic range looks good. Even under low light, Oppo's Mirrorsilicon X NPU, which they've been including in their flagships these days, it seems to help produce excellent results. The secondary is a 48 megapixel Sony IMX581. This one's paired with an f2.2 ultra wide and helps fit more into the image. It's got a 115-degree field of view. It also has autofocus, so pulls double duty for macros. The third sensor is probably the weakest of them all. It's a 32 megapixel Sony IMX709 that's paired with a 2x f2 telephoto. Now 2x telephoto isn't really much these days, especially on flagships, but I guess this is a compromise Oppo had to make to hit that form factor. And I also think the form factor is the reason why they have not provided support for 8K video. The Find N2 tops out at 4K 60, but it's good 4K 60 video. For selfies, we have a pair of 32 megapixel f2.4s in the hole punches of both displays. While this camera doesn't particularly stand out, the selfies are great, it gets the job done. I do like the fact that there is a selfie camera on the inner display, unlike on say the Mix Fold 2. Because you have it, you can now take calls and get onto video conferences from the larger foldable panel. Other camera features include a full-fledged Pro mode and that expand mode due to the Hasselblad association. Now, whether it's taking pictures or just using the phone, jumping back and forth between apps, taking advantage of that large screen by using multiple apps at once, or even with intense gaming, the Find N2, it felt super responsive. Performance is most definitely not an issue here. This phone is powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 SoC. It's paired with 12 or 16 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM and 256 or 512 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage. Now, I would have loved to see this launch with a newer 8 Gen 2 LPDDR5X and UFS 4, but it's still a very competent foldable. In fact, Oppo, in my humble opinion, they've made a strong enough case for the Find N2 to be called the best foldable in the market right now. Of course, pricing also is an important factor. As far as pricing goes, the Find N2, I mean, it's not priced that bad. It starts at 79.99 RMB, which converts to about 1150 US dollars or 95,000 Indian rupees. For a foldable, for everything they have on offer, the pricing is just about okay. What do you guys think? For this price, do you think the Find N2 might be a phone worth considering? Let me know in the comments below. And I guess that's pretty much it for today's video. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks for your time, thanks for watching. Until next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.